Hey everybody, I'm Coach Charles, and today we're going to work on a little bit of juggling fundamentals. Our juggling balls today are something everybody has at home. Some socks rolled up into balls, probably 2 socks per ball. Roll them up. If you have even-sized socks, that's good. I don't, but we'll make do. You can pause the video now if you need to go make yourself some juggling balls, and then once you have those made, you can go ahead and hit unpause. Now that you've made 3 juggling balls, put 2 of them away, and we're going to just go back to 1. Starting juggling, you need to start with 1 ball. Seems simple, but even this, I might drop it a couple times, you might drop it a couple times, that's okay. We need to make a rainbow. We need to toss from this hand and get our ball to fly in an arc or a rainbow into our other hand. Now that seems pretty simple, but what we don't want to do is place it in our other hand. We have to actually throw it. Try that a couple times from the same hand. Then switch to your other hand. Then we go back and forth, one side to the other. Now if you're throwing your hand up really high like this, you want to keep it down here. It's more of a toss, but my wrist does most of the work. My elbow stays to my side, gently floating as I toss back and forth. Not every toss is going to be perfect, but you want to get the best rainbow you can get. So again, if you want to pause the video at any point during this video, you can stop, give yourself a little more time to practice. That's totally okay. Alright, before we move on to 2 balls, let's look at a couple more things we can do with just 1 ball that we can still call juggling. Everybody always wants to jump into doing as many as they can, but when we're working on our fundamentals, working with 1 ball could take weeks, and there's a lot you could accomplish with this singular ball. So let's start real simple. Stick 1 arm out in front of you, and a simple little toss is to throw this under and to practice catching it with the same hand that threw it. Under and catch. You can also catch it in the hand that you throw it under. I'm releasing the ball here as I make contact and giving it a little forward toss to catch in this hand. I could then switch to throwing it underneath this arm to catch in the same hand, or to catch in the hand sticking out in front of me. So I could switch back and forth from side to side. It's a simple little juggling trick, but even this could take you a few hours, maybe a day, maybe a couple days to get down nice and clean without dropping it a lot. Couple more things you can do with 1 ball. This one's pretty challenging, but it sets us up for something we're going to work on later after we've gotten through some fundamentals and gotten our 3-ball juggling down. I'm going to take this ball and I'm going to go ahead and try and toss it over my shoulder to catch in my other hand. Let's see if I can get it first try. Kinda. Couldn't see it. It was a little far out to the side. Let's try that again. Catching it pretty consistently in that hand. Now, kids, is this something you should be doing in like the kitchen where there's dishes on the walls or on the counters, or annoying your brother or sister by doing it in their room? No, we should find the living room area somewhere with a little bit of space so that we can have these thrown around without them breaking anything, even though they're soft, and without driving anybody too crazy, because I'm sure everybody's feeling a little crowded right now. So again, with 1 ball, tossing it over the shoulder to catch in that hand. There's my other side, just like silks, just like everything. It's good to practice on both sides. So there's a couple more things you could try with just 1 ball. And if you get those down pretty smooth, even 1 ball juggling can look pretty exciting. Okay, when you feel ready, we go up to 2 balls. This is what's really going to get you ready for 3 balls. We'll try 3 today, and I'll show you a little bit of 3-ball juggling. But you might have to try quite a while with 2 before you're ready to throw that 3rd one in. Because we have to do 2 arcs and switch this ball to this hand and this ball to this hand. I'll show you that. We throw, throw, arc, catch, catch. That was a bit sloppy. That's going to happen to you too. If you drop it, get used to it. You're going to be bending over and picking up these socks a lot. Let's try that again. We toss, we catch, we catch. I dropped it. Be okay with dropping it. You're going to do it a lot. We toss, we catch, catch. Two balls. You're going to need to practice that a lot. Here's what I see the most often as people start to practice two balls. They go throw, and then they pass the second one. Watch that again. They go throw, and they pass. But for today, what we're practicing is rainbow, rainbow. Two rainbow arcs. What we're trying to avoid is passing the bottom hand. That's going to be easier. You might find that really easy. And you can play with that, it's fun. What we're really trying to get is toss, toss. Make sure to switch which hand throws first. I've been throwing with this hand first most of the time. I'm going to switch to this hand. Toss, toss, catch, catch. Toss, toss, catch, catch. Notice that my rainbows don't go in the same arc. If they did, they bump right into each other. We have to do two different rainbows, and they're slightly different in timing. Let's look at a couple more things you can do with two balls to practice your coordination and your catching and your throwing before moving on to three. One I like is to float my ball in a straight line up and a straight line down. Ideally, it lands right where I threw it, and I'm throwing mostly with my wrist. But it does make your brain and your hands practice catching the ball if you throw it a little off to the side. Trying to throw it straight up and straight down, but if it goes too far forward or too far back, that's a good thing to practice dealing with, because when we throw from side to side, sometimes we don't throw a perfect rainbow or a perfect arc. Sometimes it's a little sloppy, and they end up really far out, really close together. One might go forward. You might end up backpedaling. You're going to go in all sorts of directions. So it's good to get your brain practiced at catching, whoa, even when you do a really bad throw. Doesn't matter where you throw it, you're going to try and catch it. If you don't, that's okay. To make that a little harder, you start throwing them both at the same time. Trying to get them to go the same height. That is going to be really tricky. One hand often wants to throw a little less than the other, and you might find yourself in a weird position like this. That happens with three-ball juggling as well. We don't want to chase the balls. We want to keep our hands down here in this plane so they're ready to catch the ball anywhere it might land. Take that one step further. We throw one ball up, and before we catch it, I'm going to throw this one. So black, before I catch, I throw red. Let's look at that again. Throw. I'm always trying to keep one ball in the air at a time. So I don't want to catch, then throw. See that pause? I want to keep my throws going pretty consistently. Now you might have to adjust your sock juggling ball if it starts to fall apart. They're not perfect juggling balls, but they're going to help for our basics. Again, throw before I catch the next ball. We can put that all together with our arcs and our switching hands. And if you practiced everything I just showed you, this might feel a little easier. But like I said before, anytime you want to pause and spend a few minutes or an hour practicing any of those exercises until you feel like you got it a bit better, that's fine. Juggling takes a lot of practice and a lot of patience. All right, if you feel ready to move on to three, here's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to try to find 3 different colored socks. So if you need to go remake your juggling balls and maybe borrow some colored socks from somebody else in the house, that's fine. So you can go ahead and hit pause and go get yourself 3 different colored socks, or if you have juggling balls at home, you can always use those. With these 3 different colors, we're going to figure out our pattern. I have 2 in this hand, and I'm holding the top one with my first 2 fingers and my thumb. The second one in this hand, I'm squeezing with these 2 fingers in between and against my palm. That's how I keep those in place. I've got the red socks over in this hand, and the pattern is going to go black sock, red socks, rainbow socks. I keep that pattern going, but at first, your pattern is going to look like this. We call it a launch, I think. I'm not sure if that's the proper term for juggling. That's what I've heard it called. We're going to try to get all 3 of these out of our hand and not really worry about catching them. If you catch one, great. If not, that's fine. It's more about the pattern. I've got 2 in this hand, so this one's got to throw first, then this side, then back to this side. 3. 1, 2, 3. collect your balls and try that probably 10 more times. Throw, throw, throw. Throw, throw, throw. Might have to do that for a while. When you're ready to start catching them, it goes like this. The first one that gets thrown will get caught in this hand. That's why I have to throw the red one before I can catch the black one. But before I can catch the red one, I gotta throw the rainbow one. So watch that pattern. It goes black, red, rainbow, black, red, rainbow, black, red, rainbow, black, red, rainbow. Pattern. It goes black, red, rainbow, black, red, rainbow, black, red, rainbow, black, red, rainbow. Before I can throw a ball in a hand, there needs to be another ball on the way so that when I throw it, I've got something to catch. So we're gonna go back to 2 balls to help us with part of that. We're gonna put 2 balls in one hand and we're gonna practice throwing both of them over into this hand, like so. 1, 2, catch, catch. That gets us used to having 2 in one hand, which is quite a challenge, and gets us practiced at releasing them from our hand. Throw, throw, catch, catch. It's hard to catch 2 in one hand. If you drop it, get used to it, it's okay. That's half the fun. Let's look at that pattern again. Starting with 2 in one hand, practicing the launch that we just did to get both of these out of this hand, but in between those throws, 1 throw from the other hand. Throw, throw, throw. If you're able to keep the pattern going, you never have 2 balls in one hand. But every time you start, you're gonna have 2 in one hand, so you need to be able to get a good launch, to get the pattern going. Now, if you're getting frustrated and every time you go to juggle, it goes like that, or like that, then it's time to take one of those, put it aside, and go back to 2. If you're working on 2, and it's going crazy every time, then it is totally okay to go back to 1 and work on nice, clean throws. Build up some time with 1 ball. Pause the video whenever you want. Come back to 2. 2 different arcs. Switching which hand throws first. Get used to both sides. Spend some time with 2. When you're ready, go back to 3, but start with the launch. See if you can get them all out of your hand in a reasonable amount of time. 1, 2, 3. And I caught one of those. If you can consistently catch 1, try to consistently catch 2. If you can catch 2, try to throw them again after catching. Catch, throw, catch, throw. Now, 3-ball juggling is not easy. It might take you hours or days or weeks. It took me weeks. Whole lot of 2-ball juggling before I was finally able to add that 3rd one in. Now, you might have noticed that as I start to do 3-ball juggling, my hands start to move more and there's a little bit more shoulder and elbow involvement. That is just anticipating where my balls have to be thrown underneath the ball I'm about to catch. So I'll put this clip in a little bit of slow motion, and you can pay attention to the movement my hands are making. They're drawing little circles so they can throw under a ball before catching the one on the outside. Little circles, but the more I keep my hands down, the better. The better. Let's look at one more trick today. Earlier when we were looking at 2-ball juggling, I was advising against passing underhand to your other hand, like so. Because when we do 3-ball juggling with a cross pattern, we never pass. We're always tossing in little arcs. We never hand a ball directly into our other hand. But if we want to do a different pattern with 3-ball juggling, then we do need to practice pass, pass. One arc, more like a circle, pass. Now to turn that into a 3-ball trick is pretty tricky. Maybe that's why they call it a trick. So remember that exercise where I start with 2 in one hand and just see if I can throw and catch both of them in this hand. This exercise is important for both versions of 3-ball juggling we looked at today. Our cross pattern and our circular pattern. Our cross pattern and our circular pattern. Well, until next time, hope you guys had some fun juggling. There'll be some other activities with Coach Katie and Coach Franny, and we'll see you guys for our next video, and hopefully get to see you in person again pretty soon.